Well, good morning, everybody. This is Dr. Sharon. It's Sunday night here at the high school. Came in, took one last look around before the big day starts tomorrow. Hopefully, when you're seeing this and you're listening to this, everything went well and the day started off great. And you're safely in your first hour with your masks on and enjoying your first day back in 6 months in school. So I want to say welcome to everybody. Our goal today really is just, I want to take a few minutes to go ahead and go through some of the COVID-19 rules that we're going to be living under. I think we did a couple parent meetings and a couple mailings, but this is our chance right now to make sure everyone's seeing this and connecting on what's going to be happening here the first week and possibly what we're going to be like while we remain in phase 4. Just to kick it off the bat, let's just go ahead and start talking a little bit about what the requirements are to be here face to face. And again, this is the first time in my 33 years that we've actually, as a public school district, offered students the choice between coming to school face to face and earning credit with their teachers, or staying home within a virtual environment and earning credit with their teachers. We have about 820 students who have chosen face to face instruction. And again, hopefully everything went without a hitch this morning. So let's go ahead and get started, just to make sure we're all clear on the facts. One of the things that we have to do, according to the state, is that all students and adults must wear masks in common areas and in the classroom. And essentially what that is, basically, it's for all of us, for the whole building where we're at. So the only time really that obviously you can't wear a mask is when you're eating, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. And then we also want to build in some breaks that's possible for you to take your mask off during the day as well, too. Um, all staff and visitors must pre-screen. You notice there's those QR codes in front of the doors, and that means any staff member, any adult visitor has to go ahead and use their QR code, go on a Google Doc, and answer some questions about their health status before entering the building. You as students don't have to do that. One of the main reasons why is that there's over 800 of you, and just the volume of data that would be produced having 800 kids every day fill out about 10 questions. It's about 8,000 responses a day. You can imagine over 4 days. That's quite a bit of information. There's no point in screening people if you're not going to look at the information. And there's just no way the manpower was there for us to do that. So we're really relying on you as the students to monitor your own health and work with your parents. And if you feel you're having some of the symptoms of COVID-19, loss of taste, headache, some of those symptoms that may even be a cold or flu or another virus in there, we're really looking to you to sit there and say, okay, I think I'm going to stay home today. One of the things that we built into our system here is that you should be able to participate at home if you are quarantined or if you are sick, as well as students who are on our PVA, Personal Virtual Academy, as well. But again, we're going to rely on you to really make those decisions. The idea is if you think you're sick, it's best just to stay home. I know there's some questions about the attendance rule, and those are pretty strict. We will be relaxing those a little bit, obviously, with our situation here while we're in phase 4. And so again, if we have to go to phase 3, it means everyone has to go home. Phase 5 means we can start loosening some of these restrictions. But as of today, phase 4. Campus will be closed to visitors unless for special circumstances. Anyone could always just buzz into the building, one of your parents, an adult in the building, but we're closing the campus off to visitors. So unless it's essential and they have an appointment with one of us, so asking your mom or dad to run out to Wendy's or Go Taco and bring in something, that's not going to be able to happen while we're under phase 4. So just kind of bear that in mind and remind your parents too. And we'll be conducting a lot of our meetings through Zoom with our parents that we have to talk to, either for a 504 or we need to have a conference with the principal and your parents and you. We'll probably be using the technology aspect of it. If you do get sick, if we do feel you might have COVID, we are going to put you in a sick room. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask you questions about anyone you've had close contact with, because what we have to do is start tracking the cases around you. Who'd you eat lunch with? Who have you not social distance with without a mask? And because we want to make sure we find all those people that you've had contact with, so then we can go ahead and contact their parents as well and let them know they may be exposed to the virus. So you're going through your day. We're asking in the lunchroom, we'll talk about in a minute, 3 kids at a lunch table without their masks on. That's probably the most dangerous time we feel that we have interaction that's unprotected without the masks. But keep mental notes, because again, this is all designed to keep all of us safe from COVID-19. And if, unfortunately, if somebody contracts it here, we might be able to make sure we can find everybody who's had contact with them so we can contain the virus. And like what happened at Heartland High School, they had about 8 cases and they had to go to all virtual for 2 weeks, which they're at right now. So that's something that we'll have to do as well too. So just be mindful that keep mentally alert who you're around. And so if something does happen, you can share with us the names of those people that you've been close to. We're going to be disinfecting the classrooms between classes. So you may notice in the new block schedule, there's 10 minutes between classes. That's a lot of time. But we have to give the staff time to disinfect the classroom. So when you walk into a new classroom, you'll be able to you walk into a room that's been cleaned if there's any viruses in there as well too. We'll talk a little bit more about what we're going to do during those 10 minutes later in this presentation. We're also looking at, we'll have to disinfect the tables between lunches as well. But the big rule is that social distancing whenever possible. If you're wearing a mask, and you're all going to be wearing masks, we don't have to be 6 feet apart. However, we do want to make sure that as much as humanly possible, we're going ahead and do social distance. This is when you're walking down the hall, when you're in the classrooms. Just be conscious of the fact that the greater the distance between the person, the less risk there is. And if we weren't wearing masks, we'd have to socially distance. And if we had to stay 6 feet apart, we couldn't have school. It's just what it boils down to. There's gonna be 1,000 people in this building. So that's why wearing the masks is really important. And then the other thing we talk about is we're talking about encouraging hand washing. There's sanitizers everywhere. There's sanitizers in the classroom, in the hallways, everywhere you go, use those. But if you ever get a chance to go ahead, just go in the bathroom and wash your hands, 20 seconds, soap and water, rinse off, dry them off. That's a nice preventative piece that we can do as well too. Of course, the state wants this in the elementary schools. We can watch them do that. Of course, we're all basically adults here, so there's no way that we're going to sit there and try to check off 800 students. Everyone's wash their hands every hour. We're just going to encourage that. These are the things that the state of Michigan is requiring us to do. They're non-negotiable. Can't change it. If you're not wearing a mask, you can't be here. This is one of the pieces. If we're not able to disinfect the classrooms between classes, we cannot have face-to-face instruction. We're all virtual. If we can't have time to disinfect those lunchrooms, we can't be here. So all of these things I just mentioned are absolutes. They're non-negotiable. We have to do them. And we're going to need your help to help us do that, as well as our staff chipping in as well. So before school, I sent an email out this afternoon. Again, it's Monday night here. I'm sorry, Monday night. Labor Day feels like a Sunday. You're coming in, if you're having a breakfast or if you're going to get a coffee, you have to be seated at the table. The cafeteria will be broken up into a north side and a south side. And you've already seen that because you've already been in the building today, because this is about an hour after you first arrived that you're seeing this. You have to be on that south side where the cafeteria is, no more than 3 at a table. You wear your mask up until the point you sit down. You take off your mask, you drink your coffee. If you eat your breakfast, when you're done, mask back on. Go ahead and throw your refuse away and get ready to go to class. No standing and eating. And I know this is tough for high schoolers. I know you guys love to grab a milk or grab a coffee, grab a donut, stand and circle and talk. You see each other. That's what being a teenager is all about, hanging out with your friends and having a good time. Not when you're eating or having something to drink. That mask is off. You have to be seated at those tables. You can't just stand up and eat. And then everyone else should be with their masks on, maintaining social distancing as much as possible. That Commons, as you know, gets really crowded between 7:20 and 7:30. We kind of get that, but use the entire Commons to spread out a little bit and make sure you're trying to stay away from your friends as much as possible. I know it's tough since you haven't seen them in 6 months, but I know you'll do great with it. In the classroom, masks are worn at all times. That's obvious. There'll be hand sanitizers in every classroom. We're not going to monitor your hand washing every day, but we are going to make sure that you sanitize your hands before you come into the classroom. You're walking into a classroom that's been sanitized on the surfaces, and now you're going to sanitize your hands when you walk in. and wearing your mask, and everything should just be hunky-dory. Uh, the desks will be facing in the same direction, and we'll separate them as much as possible. Again, they're not going to be 6 feet apart because this is no way, but you will be wearing a mask, which makes it safer. We're not going to have the shared bathroom pass where you say, oh, here's your bathroom pass, and some kid grabs it, another kid grabs it. Those days are probably over forever. There's a little QR code in your room. You go ahead and take your phone, which you're allowed to have, unless your teacher has you put them in the holders, or there's a Google Doc that you can access through a laptop. But you take your phone, QR code, fill it out, you're going to the bathroom. That is your pass to go to the bathroom. So if we see you in the hallway and you're on a bathroom break, we should be able to go back and check that Google Doc and check that spreadsheet and see that your name is on there as well. That's an absolute must. That's the way we're going to do it. Can't have kids just wandering in the wilderness without knowing where they're at. And we're going to talk a lot about that here at the end of this presentation about how things are different now. And group work will be conducted virtually whenever possible. So if you can do a Zoom meeting like this and conduct your group work, fantastic. That's what we want to do. But you may have to be in a Socratic circle, or you may be working in a small group with your mask on. That's okay too. But whenever possible, we're going to ask the teachers to do that virtually. Transitions in the hallway. This is a tough one because we got 10 minutes, not 5 between classes. And I know, trust me, from walking those halls last year, I know how you can stretch 5 minutes into 10 minutes, but you can't stretch 10 into 20. But the other pieces too is that's a lot of time to be wandering in the wilderness, walking around. So one of the rules we're going to have is basically right side of the road, just like you're driving a car. When you're walking through the hallways, you have to stick to the right side of the road. We can't have everyone going in one direction. It's just going to be too chaotic, but it has to be 2 ships passing each other in the night, one on the right side, the other one on the right side is their perspective as well too. They'll have sanitizers on each side of the hallway, but the other ones always keep moving. What you can't do is you can't stop and congregate and talk. It's not what we want. So this is the way you're going to get your steps in. What we're going to try to do, and starting probably in about 20 minutes when you're done watching this video, is that between our classes, those 10-minute breaks, to give you somewhere to always be walking to and staying on the right side of the road, weather permitting, we're going to have the students, if you want to, you can exit the building outside that north side entrance, typically where the buses arrive. And there's some picnic tables out there and some green spaces, and either I or Mrs. Woods will be out there, or Mrs. McBride or Mr. Girardi, and it'll give you a chance to get outside, get more than 6 feet apart, and then take off those masks and take a breather. I'm telling you right now, wearing those masks all day is horrible. So you'll be able to go out there, spread out, take your masks off, talk with your friends from a very big socially distant aspect, and then for about a few minutes, and then you can walk back in and go into class. The teachers will let you in the class once the surfaces have been sanitized. If you are going to be waiting, make sure you're spacing out in the hallway at least 3 lockers apart if you're lining up to get in the classrooms. And of course, teachers will be starting on Wednesday, the full block schedule. These classes are longer than an hour and a half. All of them are. You're going to probably have to want to do a biology break themselves as well too. So if the weather's nice, if it's not raining or lightning, take the opportunity to come outside. And again, we're going to do this as long as you cooperate with it. If you're willing to go ahead and follow the rules and socially distant, take your mask off, and you cannot leave the parking lot, can't go to your car, stay right outside and walk right back in. This is a nice little break we're building in for you as well. So hopefully it works out pretty good. There'll be sanitizing stations throughout the building. You'll see them. You walk by, feel like squirting along your hands, sanitizing, go ahead and do that. We are asking you to wash your hands before you go to lunch. Not just sanitize, but go in the bathroom and wash your hands before you eat. Again, there's no way we can monitor this. We're not going to be handing out suspensions for non-hand washing. We're just asking you is, everyone should want to wash their hands before they eat anyways, regardless of whether or not there's a pandemic or not. But make sure the opportunity to go ahead and do that. Lunchroom, here's the big deal. 5 lunch periods. There's no other way around it. We had to have 5 because what we have to do is we have to sanitize every single table between lunches. There's no way that's going to happen unless we have 2 cafeterias in the commons, which we now do. There's a north side set of tables and a south side set of tables. And so for the first lunch, we'll be using one side. And the second lunch, we'll be switching to the other side. So the custodial team has a chance to come in and disinfect all the tables from the first lunch. Third lunch goes back here. We disinfect these tables. Fourth lunch back here. Fifth lunch back here. There'll be floor markings on the floor for checkout, just like you do at the grocery store, staying 6 feet apart. The food will be prepackaged. There's not going to be a salad bar there with the sneeze guard and all that. Most of the food we have here anyways is prepackaged anyways here at the high school, but from now on, they'll all be prepackaged. We are going to limit you to 3 to a table. That's it. There's no other negotiation with it. The days of putting your table together and sitting together are over, at least during phase 4. Maybe during first phase 5 and phase 6, but as of right now, 3 to a table, right? You're the fourth person in, that's going to be a problem. I know it's going to suck sometimes because you want to sit with more than one person and all these people, but welcome to phase 4, COVID face-to-face. 3, spread out as much as possible, because then remember, you're taking off your mask to eat. The masks are going back on before you sit up and go. So that's one of the big rules. And again, we'll a little bit more further this down in the presentation. See, end of the day, you're heading directly out to your bus car transportation. I know how much you love to hang around, but it's time to go. So one of the reasons why we want you to leave directly is that as soon as everyone's out of the building, we're doing a mass decontamination of the entire building for the next day. And that takes hours and hours and hours for the custodial staff to do. So the sooner we get people out, the sooner we can start spraying the disinfectant on all the surfaces and wiping everything down. We don't want you congregating in the commons. Again, your teenagers, we all do, even adults. We love to get together. We love to talk. We have a herd mentality. We like coming together and having those conversations. Just not an option right now. You just really got to help us out on this, and just not congregating and working your way out to your vehicles. Take your mask off when you get in the car. Unfortunately, if you're riding the bus, you're wearing your mask the whole way home. And maintain social distance on departure. If you're wearing your mask, we're not demanding 6 feet. There's no way you're going to keep 800 people leaving a building 6 feet apart, but as much as possible. Athletes, or if you're in a club or something after school and it happens right after school, just go immediately to your practice or where you're supposed to be with your mask on, and whether it's student government or whatever activity we're in, we just want you to go. So that basically kind of was really quick, just around the rules, the basics that we're going to go through. But what I want to talk about now, last thing I want to really talk about is the fact is that, again, I mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, for the first time ever in the history of public ed I know of, you as a student have a choice. You have a choice to come to Pinckney Community High School 4 days a week, face-to-face instruction, or you have a choice, to stay home and receive the same education instruction virtually from the same teachers. About 820 have chosen face-to-face, which I think is wonderful. And if you've chosen to stay home, I think that's wonderful too. But when you're here, you've got to understand things are different this year. We're going to be raising the bar in our expectations of you. We're raising the bar in the expectations of ourselves. Let's go back to this 10 minutes between classes, okay? Normally teachers are out in the hallways monitoring or looking out for students. Now they're helping disinfect classrooms. They're not going to be out there. If we want to go outside and have some time to socially distance and get some fresh air and take our masks off, then some of the administrators have to be out there. There's really only 3 of us. We're not going to be, if I'm outside making sure that you guys get a mask break, I'm not walking the halls looking for those kids that aren't wearing their masks or going in the bathroom to vape or all the other, sometimes the interesting behaviors that we have here in high school that we have to monitor. So you've got to want to be here, then you have to step up. If you're in the lunchroom and one of the things I saw all the time last year is kids throwing food at other tables. My first year, we always sometimes I politely ask you to stop, and usually you did. Not now. You have to understand is that the expectation for the behavior, the collective efficacy of all of us chipping in together to be face to face. You simply cannot be a face-to-face student and not wear your mask. You can't be a face-to-face student and throw food in the cafeteria. If you're gonna do something that draws my attention away or the other administrator attentions away from what we're supposed to be doing, the consequences are going to be a little higher because they have to be, because the stakes are higher. And I know it's hard to hear for some parents, don't like to hear that. Some students like to hear it, but it's absolutely true. We have 5 lunch periods. I love being in the lunchroom. I love walking around. I love talking to kids. You know, it was an hour and a half out of my day is fine. You know, stopping everybody trying to leave early. Do you have your pass? All that stuff. That's high school. That's what it is about. Being a principal, but being a kid. Now, 5 lunch periods is almost 3 hours a day. So if you're thinking almost 50% of the principal and the assistant principal's time is going to be spent in the lunchroom, you know, without the other aspects of our job. We have to be able to have face-to-face instruction. If I have a meeting I have to go to, or if I have to be at the ISD, or Miss Woods has to be in another meeting, we have to know that our lunchroom is in good shape. And we know that because you're there and you're following the rules, and anyone who's face-to-face is going to be participating and following these rules. You just don't have the option. If you're coming here to be a face-to-face student, and you say, I'm not going to wear my mask, I'm going to stick it to the man, I'm going to show him who's in charge, it's fine. We have this other option over here for you to do the same thing at home. You don't have to wear your mask in your living room, right? If you want to throw food around your kitchen, that's between you and your parents and your guardian. I wouldn't do that, but that's up to them. But here, the stakes are just that much higher. And we need everyone on board to do this. So I'll give you, you know, I got here last year. One of the first things I noticed is that we had, you know, uniformed guards in the cafeteria watching kids eat. And it always struck me as, you know, that's the Pinckney I've known for 25 years. I never really kind of got that. And I took a gamble. I said, you know, I don't think we need these guys here anymore. And that, you know, I think our kids are better than that. Our students are better than that. And we kind of, okay, we just kind of move that aside, and we did fine, just fine without them, right? Because you're better than that. So now we're going to ask you as face-to-face students to really step up. I got to trust you in the hallways if we're not out there watching you. Got to trust you, make sure in the bathrooms nothing crazy is going on or breaking the rules. Make sure in the cafeteria, make sure you're where you're supposed to be and you're doing what you're supposed to do. If you're going to come here and be a face-to-face student, if you're listening to this right now in your classroom, that's what you're agreeing to do. It's not what you say, or it's not what I say that really matters. The decisions that we make communicate our values. And you deciding to be here and cooperating with these rules so we can all be here is communicating to us that you have the values to be a Pinckney Pirate in face-to-face instruction. If you don't follow these rules, you're communicating to us that, you know, your decision basically is perhaps maybe, you know, a virtual environment is going to be more appropriate for you. But, you know, the stakes are just too high. This is COVID-19. It's killed 180,000 people almost, has infected over almost 7 million Americans. This is a highly contagious virus that we are very unlikely to contract, but when we do, it's serious. So this is literally, you know, why we're here. And I know you're going to step up, and I know you're going to do a great job with it. So, you know, we'll see you in the hallways. We'll see you in the breaks. We'll see you in the lunchroom. You know, dial it in, bring it in, be part of the team, and do a nice job with this. And that's what we're hoping that happens. And it's going to be a great year. And hopefully we'll get to phase 5, and we'll be able to peel off some of these things. And then phase 6, we'll be able to peel off all these things, and we can go back to assemblies and homecoming dances and football games and, you know, lunchrooms full of kids laughing and walking down the hallway without a mask and all those things that make high school great. But this today marks the first step. So thanks for listening. I hope you probably didn't enjoy this. It wasn't the most riveting presentation you've ever heard, but it's been 6 months, and it's been the longest since 1987 for me that I haven't worked with students or teachers, and I don't ever want to do this again. I just cannot wait to have everybody back and have us back on the team. So welcome back to Pinckney Community High School. Welcome back to school, and do a great job. Get your grades, earn your credit, make smart choices, and I hope you're doing a lot of smiling underneath those masks. So with that, I'll wish you a wonderful first day of school, and we'll see you out and about. So have a great day, Pirates. And that's the end of the meeting.